I get a lot of questions about what rods I recommend, and so today I thought I'd go over a couple rod recommendations I have, as well as some alternatives that I formerly fished or just don't have in my arsenal right now, but I do recommend. My number one favorite Kokanee rod is the Saniam fishing rods. This is an Oregon-based company. It's a full glass rod, so it's really designed for downriggers. This is a 4-piece rod. It's hard to believe when you look at the video. I'll show you some clips here of it coming out of the downrigger. It fishes just like a 2-piece or 1-piece rod. A lot of people get the wrong impression that multi-piece rods are somehow weaker or inferior, but if you think about fly fishing, they've been using multi-segment rods for years, and I would say the physics of fly fishing is far less forgiving than, say, downrigger fishing or kokanee fishing. So this is a 4-piece. They also have a 2-piece. Comes in this X-Flock carbon fiber handle. Very durable, very easy to get in and out of a rod holder, which is why I like it. It doesn't catch on anything. It's very smooth because of that carbon fiber. It's rated moderate light, so medium light, but it does have that slow action of glass, right? So you can really load this thing up and it's not going to blow up on you. It's really designed for downrigger usage. I like it for dropper rigs in the 1 to 3 ounce range. Once I get above 3 ounces, I'm going to switch to a different rod. These retail for about $80. I love the bright color because it really draws my attention to it when I get a strike. I suppose if you're colorblind, maybe the red isn't the best for you, but for most people, red is a very sensitive color and it really grabs my eyes. It's also a 7.5 foot rod, which is perfect for me kayak fishing because I prefer shorter rods. If you're in a powerboat, you know, I know a lot of powerboat anglers prefer a little bit longer rods to spread things out. I totally understand that. But this one only comes in a 7.6, and it makes netting fish by myself very easy. If you fish in a powerboat by yourself too, I also recommend staying under that 8 foot mark because it just makes it so much easier to net your fish. So this is the Saniam fishing rods, a travel rod. A good alternative, budget alternative to this is the Eagle Claw feather lights. Now I think they retail from the $20 to $30 range. They're bright yellow, so they are very easy to see, and they have very similar action, except for the quality of the guides on them is just, I think it's just a steel guide. It has no insert or anything. It can really rough up your line, especially on colder days when it gets a little bit of ice formation. So you do need to be a little bit more careful about checking your line with the feather lights, but otherwise they're a pretty good buy, and they come in 2-piece as well. All right, so let's move on to what I would consider my heavy dropper rod, and that is the Paulina Peak tackle rods. I think these are going to retail for close to $70. This is their Kokanee series rods. They're kind of this really dark green. They have a compressed cork handle on the top, and then they have a wrapped handle on the bottom here. It's very grippy, so which is nice. This is a composite rod, so it is designed to run on a downrigger, but you'll see it's not nearly as flexible as that glass rod because it's composite, so it's a mixture of glass and graphite, which gives it that little bit more backbone, which makes it a great dropper rod, especially when you're going to run, say, 3, 4, 5 ounces of lead. You can run that on this rod and it performs awesome. It is a little bit stiff for me, I say, for when I'm running those lighter ones. I really enjoy the fight of Kokanee and having a rod that absorbs that energy, and that's why I really like the slower action of the glass versus the composite material. It's a little bit faster material because of that graphite. This comes in a 7.3 and an 8 foot model. I love the 7.3 obviously because I just prefer shorter rods being in a kayak, but this is definitely one of my favorite dropper rods, especially when I'm fishing places like Chelan where I'm running 4 and 5 ounces commonly. Now if you're somebody who does a lot of long lining fishing, which I don't do except maybe on Lake Roosevelt, Saniam rods, same company that makes the red rod here, they just came out with an 8'6" all graphite moderate light action rod, and you can see it bends quite a bit. It's got quite a bit of action in the tip there, which is great for kokanee. This is really just designed for targeting those kokanee at or near the surface. It's a little long for me at 8'6", but if you're a powerboat angler and you really want to get a nice spread, something definitely worth looking at. Some kayak anglers actually like longer rods, just not me. But yeah, it's a much faster material. Carbon fiber rod is going to be much faster action. It's going to return to its shape, which is good because when you're long lining, you don't have weight on there. And oftentimes you'll get a slap on the hook, they'll hit it, but there's not enough hook setting power in a glass rod to get a good hook set. If you're running dropper rigs or you're running off a downrigger, it's not that big a deal, right? Because the weight helps drive the hook home. But when you don't have that weight, you need that fast action of graphite to drive the hook home. So I hope he comes out with a shorter model of this long line rod at some point, because that'd be really nice. The alternative to this one that I recommend is actually the Akuma Salilo Kokanee rod. It's a composite itself, but it's a much faster action composite than, say, the Paulina Peak ones. So good alternative to a long line rod. Long lining is, I do it so infrequently that I'm probably not going to make a lot of investment in a specific long lining rod. But if you're a person who does a lot of long lining for kokanee, then maybe it's worth looking into for you. I'll put links to all of these rods below, and if you have any questions on them, just let me know and I will get back to you. And I'll see you out on the water. Just remember, fish smarter, not harder. Bye guys.